wena ngamkhombo wena ngangwani ngani ilanga lapho mayitshe lapha kaNkosikazi ingabi sakhona awuhlali phansi sabathi inkulu ithole isoko
Nindaba ngosilenhle angindvusele amaswati lamahle lamhla-ke silapha e-Abu Dhabi even le-United Arab Emirates lapho khona silo inkosi Mswati wesithathu sikhona khona kutawukhanga abatshalti imali kokuthi baye even le-Eswatini baye kuyawuvula emabhizinisi kude ukuthi kutawufukuleka umnotho welive. Nindaba ngosilenhle-ke ndawukhumbula kokuthi kusenhlitweni yemakhosi kanye naso sive semaswati kubona lona live lithuthuka liya embili liphinde futhi ligcine selibalelwa kiwo emavela athuthukile njengoba lilivele lisetama kuthuthuka. Lamhla-ke imbubo emhlaba sitayibona ihlangene nenkampani i-MI Gate lapho khona le nkampani itawusita lona live leSwatini ukuthi lithuthukise tinhlangothi thide letifaya ekhathi luhlangothi lwetekuthengiselana nelekutshala imali luhlangothi lwetemfundo luhlangothi lwetemphilo netekuvakasha kanye neluhlangothi lwetekuxhumana kanye netekwatisa kubala nje lokumbalwa. Lapha-ke siphindele kunye lestakubona kona kusayina kwesivumelwano emkhathisini kwale nkampani kanye nalo live leSwatini lokutobe kusho kona ukuthi lamhla-ke kutawuqala bona buhlobo noma wona umshado emkhathini kwelive nale nkampani. Asasibone-ke maswati lamahle ukuthi engabe ngekhathi kuhamba njani lapho khona le nkampani ihlangene nayo imbubo yemhlaba.
We will run through a very high-level presentation just talking about the opportunities for investment in Eswatini with the view of just expanding the conversation we had yesterday. And when I finish the presentation, our Minister of ICT, Her Royal Highness Eswatini, will also speak about the opportunities in the ICT sector. And our Minister for Finance will also speak about further opportunities in the mining sector as well as in the agricultural sector. We will first start by playing a promotional video that will just give you an overview about Eswatini so that you can appreciate all the advantages of investing in Eswatini by it when we're part this next slide. Just at a glance, we are a small population of 1.2 million with a GDP of $4.7 US. That's billion. And then our GDP grew impressively last year post-COVID, 7.9%, and our inflation average is 4.1%. We do have a very high literacy rate, as was captured in the video. 89% of our population is highly trainable and very flexible with a number of skills. We are strategically located in the region. As you can see, as His Majesty said yesterday, you set up in Eswatini with a view of supplying the region and servicing the region. And Eswatini is a production for investments, manufacturing, as well as services. So Maputo is very close, 180 kilometers from where we are. Johannesburg, the big airport there, 400 kilometers. Richards Bay, another port, 350 kilometers. And Durban, again, 550 kilometers. And really, when you want to transport anything from Eswatini, the logistics do work. We've prioritized a few sectors in the economy, as was said in the video: agriculture, ICT and ICT-based education, manufacturing and agro-processing, mining and energy, as well as tourism. And these are the sectors that we believe will take the economy to the next level in the next few years. But I want to speak briefly on 6 projects that we would like EMI Gate to consider. There would be more when my colleagues also expand. But these 6 projects are the Rail Link project, which is very key to ensure integrated logistics and transportation in the region through Eswatini, renewable energy, as well as in the hospitality sector, a 5-star hotel and villa development. We want to develop a big national park that will compete with the likes of Kruger National Park, in the region, and we also want to develop our industrial parks to support our agro-processing drive, and there's an urban infrastructure development project as well that we want to entice you with. The first project is the rail link project. What you see is the red line. I didn't have a pointer, but if I had one, the red lines are existing rail lines, and then the green piece is what we want to invest in partnership with our Eswatini Railways, because what you see is we want to make sure is goods coming through from South Africa mainly, particularly minerals, can go through our country and go into South Africa wherever they need to go. But not just minerals, all the other goods that are coming through for manufacturing are currently limited because we only have lines that go to Richards Bay and Durban, and we have a line that goes to Maputo, but we don't have a connection into South Africa yet. That's a very big economy that we trade quite significantly with. And this particular project also includes the development of an internal container port so that we basically clear goods in country as opposed to in our neighboring countries. It is a project that we believe is pivotal, particularly as we develop our mining sector. It's important that the logistics work. Then we believe the project is going to cost in the range of $1.8 billion. Eswatini Railways have done all the feasibility studies and the costing, the designs for that rail link, with an internal rate of return of 14.6%. So we believe it's a very good investment to consider. Obviously, it will be a phased approach. When you visit Eswatini, we will introduce you to Eswatini Railway, and you can talk about the feasibility of the project, stress test it, and make sure you see the value and the opportunity for yourselves. The project has a few benefits. I will not go through all of them because mostly intuitive, but really what we want to do is, as we get into the AFCFTA, the free trade agreement in Africa, we want to make sure that intra-African trade, regional trade, particularly within the SACO region, is enhanced. And this rail line is extremely pivotal for that, because at least there will be free movement of goods, and it will give credence to the fact that we are trading as a regional bloc with the rest of the continent. The next project is on the renewable side. What we want to just explain here is it's a project that we believe has many phases. We've got what we will say is our immediate requirement right now, and I will explain, and then we'll have our medium-term requirement. But currently what we have is a 300 megawatt immediate energy requirement. This is existing, energy requirement in country. But looking at all the different projects that His Majesty has charged us with, and looking at what we need to have in the next 5 years, we believe we need an additional 200 megawatts, and we need to start investing in that now so that we are not hampering progress. We currently import 77% of our energy in Eswatini from South Africa, and that is not sustainable. It's a relationship that expires in 2025. And then the 23% that we produce is hydro energy as well as solar energy, but the 77% is mainly thermal power. What are we doing about it? I've spoken about the first bullet point. That's what we currently produce. But we have awarded 3 IPPs, independent power producers, to give us 75 megawatts of solar. And we have 40 megawatts at tendering stage of biomass. And we have 23 megawatts of another hydro project in one of our big rivers called Usutu River, in a place called Kutuza, that has already been awarded, and that project has kicked off. And we've just tendered a 32 megawatt again in one of the big dams called Makuga Dam. So all of that then will give us, in the immediate term, up to 240 megawatts of energy, which is 80% of our current demand. But as we've stated, we require ultimately 500 megawatts in the medium term. We therefore have an opportunity to produce 260 megawatts of renewable energy, and that is why we want to say to EMI Gate, let's talk about this. We've got our regulator, ISERA, as well as our utility company, EEC, and they are eager to talk about various options, including looking at thermal power, where we can find a solution that limits carbon emissions. And we don't know whether this is a technology that you might have access to, or you might have people that have access to that technology. So the total cost is estimated of all those renewable energy projects as $684 million US dollars, and with a rate of return of just under 10%. We believe that really it's a project worthy to consider for investment. And as a country, we need this particular investment because it will show up all the developments that we want to see through as a country. The benefits of the project, again, are there for all of us to see, but mainly we want to eliminate dependence on foreign energy, but also we want to make sure that we form a good base for the development that we will see in the country over the next 5 to 10 years. The third project that I want to speak to is a project that is already in motion. We have a 5-star hotel that the government of the Kingdom of Eswatini is building in anticipation of hosting regional and continental as well as global functions next to an international convention center that is almost finished, and this hotel supports the convention center, and both of them are government projects. But for the hotel, we need a strategic partner because the grey box has been done. What we want to achieve at this stage is finishing the hotel to the specification of our strategic partner. And we've seen your beautiful hotels here, and you may be keen to really understand how we can partner on this. It's a 250-bed hotel, but it also has 60 VIP villas that are attached to it for additional capacity, and we want to make sure that it's a complete offering that includes the villas. We want to ensure that we finish the hotel to the specification of our strategic partner, because every hotel chain will have its own taste ultimately. And then in terms of the estimated project costs, we're looking at about $228 million US to finish this particular project. And we're really eager to talk about any finance model that can be agreed to between us, and I'll speak to that towards the end of my presentation. But what's key here really is the fact that we have a strong agenda on tourism, and one of the projects I'll speak to just now speaks to that, and we want to make sure that we have a whole range of offerings for our clientele as they come into the country. We see the 5-star hotel as an enabler for big conferences, for formal meetings, continental meetings, global meetings, but we also see it as pivotal for our tourism agenda as well. We will then speak to the National Park project. Currently we have a number of small isolated parks that His Majesty's vision has resulted in us having to merge them together into a big game park that will compete against the likes of the Kruger National Park, and this is on the northeast of the country. And what we want to achieve really is to merge about 81,000 hectares of land for conservation purposes, and want to preserve and promote different species in that particular establishment. We want to estimate, this project at about 100 million US dollars, but I think the sums are still being done around this, because the idea is still evolving in terms of ultimately full scale, what will it cost, but the phase that we want to embark on to make sure that we've got proper perimeter fencing, we've got proper infrastructure, proper lodging facilities, proper road network. This is where the 100 million US dollars comes from. There would be many ecological advantages for both plants and animals of different kinds, and lots of species that have already become rare in Eswatini that we want to reintroduce, and species that are becoming extinct that we want to preserve by embarking on this particular project. We believe that this project really, as you can see, these are all the different game reserves that we will be combining along the boundary, and ensuring that ultimately it is one game reserve in the very near future. This is very close to our international airport, so it really makes for seamless tourist experience, because it is also very close to the border with South Africa. We believe there's many advantages here. The main advantage, though, is again that it gives a holistic touristic experience for people coming into Eswatini, so that in a week you can have a number of things that you want to do for you and your family in the country. So we are still looking for technical support and maybe a consultant that can help us develop this concept, and the building of the actual infrastructure is one of the key things we want to achieve. The next project, I will not spend a lot of time on this project because it is easy to explain. It is really developing more industrial parks. The minister here will speak about agriculture and agro-processing. What that lends itself to is we want to ensure we have enough industrial capacity. So we have identified a number of areas where we're decentralizing manufacturing from the commercial corridor and making sure that we go to our constituents, and His Majesty has been echoing this time and again to say let manufacturing go out to the rural areas and the constituency. So we want to develop 4 major industrial parks, and we want to focus this on some of our natural advantages in manufacturing. We have a lot of sugar in Eswatini. We want to start sugar beneficiation, so that we're not just sending out raw sugar, but we are doing a lot of sugar-based products, a lot of ethanol-based products, etc. in that particular park. And we also have a lot of textile manufacturing businesses. We want to vertically integrate and grow the cotton, spin the yarn, and do all of that in Eswatini. So this project seeks to support our industrial development in large part. We believe that this is pivotal to our GDP, because such a project absorbs a lot of people. Manufacturing generally absorbs a lot of people, and we've identified pieces of land based on where we believe those agro-processing industries need to be, and those beneficiation industries need to be, and that supports our industrialization policy, which we've just finished revising. The last project I want to speak to before I allow Her Royal Highness to come in and the Minister of Finance to come in is we have a big dam project sponsored by the African Development Bank that is about to commence in the south of the country, one of the poorest regions in the country. And what we've realized is as that area develops, we will need town planning infrastructure and make sure that the housing development and the urban development and the infrastructure that supports that grows with the agricultural, development that will be happening in that particular part of the country. This is a pictorial view of where the big dam is going to be. It will be stationed in 3 areas: the Mahamba Dam, Atemba Dam, and the Bagini Dam, along 2 major rivers in Eswatini, one called the Ngwavuma, one called the Mkondo River, and then the dams will then promote, an explosion really of agriculture that might end up with close to 40,000 people congregating for business around that area. We want to make sure then that we have the urban development infrastructure that's going to support it, and we want to start doing that now so that we are not lagging behind that particular development. We have estimated, working with the African Development Bank, roughly $200 million for this particular project. And it will be a very good project, looking at how well you do your urban infrastructure planning here for EMI Gate to also consider partnering with the government of Eswatini on. And I've already justified why we need such a project. I think maybe the last slide, this slide, we've looked at many different options as government, and we remain flexible, whether it is equity, the way it makes sense, whether it is special purpose vehicles, or build, operate, and transfer. All the different models are on the table, including grants where it makes sense. And we would be very eager to have a deeper conversation when you visit Eswatini in the very near future. We do have a lot of companies, international companies, that have set up in Eswatini that are doing exactly this, producing in Eswatini, providing services out of Eswatini, and supporting not just the region but the continent. And we would like to get EMI Gate on that list. But we're not pirate. Minister, can I hand over to you?
Te wanoa pagati, Your Majesty the King, Nkosikazi the Queen, Chairperson of EMI and the Executive, Honorable Ministers, His Excellency the Ambassador, and the King's Office. Your Majesty, we have been tasked off guard by the Minister of Commerce to speak to the ICT sector opportunities in the Kingdom of Eswatini. I'd like to begin with a quote by Steve Jobs, who says that it's not a faith in the technology, but it's a faith in the people. And so an ICT infrastructure and services development plan that does not have people at its core is not our aim. So in as much as we are capitalists, we're also humanitarians. And so the first initiative would be the construction of a smart city or a retirement village in Eswatini. If the Emirati people could build a small capital in Eswatini, that would be a smart city that would attract people to invest, to come and live and retire in Eswatini. We don't like the word smart when you say smart city, because smart is digital. We want cognitive, because cognitive is digital humanism. And by building a smart city, you're actually harnessing the power of cognitive technology to build an ecosystem that is disruptive and sustainable, provides sustainable solutions to every aspect of human life. So with a population of 1.2 million people, Your Majesty, in Eswatini, you are actually housing all the individuals in the country. And so you're having vertical housing, vertical farming, introducing the Internet of Things so that all the systems are connected to the internet, and you're building a city that is not only smart, but is safe. And which brings me to the next opportunity, which is in cybersecurity and smart traffic solutions. You want to be in a city or a country that is safe, that is constantly under surveillance, like as is the case here in the Emirates. If that obviously introduces more safety for a lower crime rate in the country. And so with cybersecurity, we want to secure all the critical infrastructure in the country that includes utilities, roads, banking, and every system. And we know that the UAE is a strong partner in that area. Excuse me. And so that means utilities as well as banking will be secure at all times. We currently do have offers in the cybersecurity space, but we are looking for more if the UAE has a better solution, because we want one that speaks to our budget and that speaks to our needs. As a country, we are not ultimately sophisticated in the ICT sector, so crimes in cybersecurity are still very low in Eswatini, but you want to project the future. So thirdly, we are seeking partnerships, Your Majesty, the Chairperson, for unique, reliable, and affordable ICT infrastructure and communications. So ideally, we would have a fiber optic network that goes across the nation, whether it's subterranean cables or whatever else, to connect to the rest of the world. So you're not only looking at connecting Eswatini to cable that service Eswatini, but that connect to the rest of the world. And we believe that that will help us attain the Connect Africa goals, to connect cities and connect villages so that every individual in the country has access to these services. And encouraging that internet access will also help with infrastructure sharing. As you might know, that communications and electricity services, they use the same kind of infrastructure. So that makes for a better model. So Emirati companies can come in to provide technology upgrades as well as more investment in that area. And fourthly, and second last, would be in the area, Your Majesty and Chairperson, of electronic government. And this means that we are allowing interoperable services and unified devices to allow for a cohesive electronic government system so that all the ministries are interconnected, all the ministry departments and all services in the country can enable us to provide service delivery to the people at a faster pace, so faster registration for companies, faster civil registry, to make sure that the ease of doing business is also improved. And this goes along with the one-stop shop, which His Majesty is about to launch. And that means in every constituency, in all the 359 constituencies of Eswatini, there will be a service center where all the people have access to ICT services. And that leads us to becoming the world's first smart nation, as per His Majesty's goal. And lastly, it would be the development of digital entrepreneurs through the African Electronic Trade Platform. If we can establish an African app that will connect all business people and customers through an app such as Alibaba or Amazon, because there's the issue of expense and there's the issue of convenience. Everybody wants to buy on their phone now simply because of convenience. You can have a product that is 3 times more expensive online versus in the retail store, but you prefer to buy it online for convenience. So as long as somebody is awake and buying, there is somebody who could be sleeping but making money. And currently there are 5.03 billion users of internet in the world, which means a 63.1% population of the world is online, and that makes technology indispensable. And those are the 5 areas of investment in the ICT sector that can be exploited in Eswatini. But obviously, none of those can take place without a strong energy sector to back up and power up the entire industry. Your Majesty, unophakathi bayithi.
I'll start off by just giving us a financial overview of our country. The Minister did touch on the GDP numbers, population. We're a middle income country, which means that we are, so per capita, the GDP is around $1,000. This year, 1,085. I see the threshold that the World Bank puts on us. But we have been battling with a rise in our debt. But unlike many of the other African countries, we luckily have started from a very low base. So we're currently around 40% debt to GDP ratio, one of the lowest on the continent. And at the same time, we managed to stabilize. So this coming year will be a year when we've got 1.5% fiscal deficit, meaning the amount of money that you're spending versus the amount of money that you have, and 1.5% by the World Bank, IMF. They see it as a sustainable path that you are on, which means even with a little bit of growth, one is not increasing your debt to GDP ratio. So from that point of view, we believe one's really stabilized our economy, stabilized our fiscus, and put ourselves on a sustainable path, meaning that, because if you look at many of the countries that are on a very unsustainable path, it's almost like investing in a country that's becoming bankrupt. It's almost like if you, from the private sector point of view, if the company is going bankrupt, you don't make contracts with it, you don't engage it, because you know at some point they're not going to be able to pay you, the lights are going to go off. Whereas Eswatini is very proud to put ourselves onto a sustainable path, and we believe that is now the ideal platform for investment and for companies to come in and invest in Eswatini. So at the same time, our reserves, we always keep our reserves very healthy, so which means there's always access to forex, there's always a trade also happens quite easily. From a financial point of view, we've got a decent financial sector, but again, there's also opportunity for investment there to continue to broaden our investment base in the way of banks and increase our exposure, especially to this region. Our exposure is not good, so we do foresee an opportunity in that space too, from the banking point of view. We continue to remain updated with all the different international laws relevant to that banking space. I'll quickly touch on, obviously we're open for questions. Sometimes on the financial side it's easier responding to questions than necessarily trying to say too much. Opportunities in the minerals and minerals beneficiation. I'll touch on that quickly because I was just personally on the minerals board before, so I got an idea there. Very recently we've done a survey, a magnetic depth survey of our country to see what minerals we have underground. And the survey is showing some very interesting results. The survey must still be verified, so which means the results are showing clearly there's minerals here, minerals there. Because of the certain electronic pushback from those minerals, you can judge what minerals there are, more or less. And some of them you're quite clear, like for instance we have gold in a certain area of our country, in the northwestern part, certain hills, what they call in the geology terms, Barberton complex. And the gold underground there is a lot more than what we thought we had. And so definitely opportunities for a lot more gold mining in Eswatini than what we previously presumed. We also have it's also revealed very decent iron ore deposits. Iron ore is all over the place, but you're looking for rich iron ore deposits so that you don't spend a lot of mining and take it all out. And we found two very, very good sites with very rich iron ore, meaning that there's great opportunities also for iron ore extraction.
What's the percentage of the 63, 72, what's the percentage of the iron ore?
At the moment, the reserves. So even though the geology study has shown what we have, we haven't gone to the full level of studying it yet. But where we have been mining before, it is around the 64% of ore coming out the ground. And so, I mean, at some stage, I remember them saying that you could weld the two rocks together. You could actually take two rocks and actually weld them together out of the ground, which was quite unique in the region. At the moment, for instance, even on the mine that was mined, they're busy just working through the fines that was left behind, and they're getting a 65% out of the fines currently as we speak. One then has, we've also got diamond deposits. We've got a kimberlite shaft. Kimberlite shafts around the world, where it comes up the ground, it always fractures towards the top, which means there's pipes. We've only found one pipe before, what we call a Dolowaya mine. It has been mined, the surface has been mined. So what makes sense from the surface area, with cone mining, they've mined the surface of that shaft. But we knew there must be other pipes somewhere, and we didn't know where they were. We actually looked quite hard, we couldn't find them. because there's always a few pipes like that. So the study has shown that there's another 4 pipes that have been revealed, and now we know where they are, and one can now start considering that. Again, on the midwestern side of the country, under granite, so we had no idea it was there either. There's a copper platinum mix. Again, now with the study, we are not so 100% sure what exactly it is, because it's giving us, because copper and platinum are very similar when it comes to the feedback. Correct. And so we still need to, we presume it's copper, because it seems to be in line with the copper belts coming down from Zambia, but we still need to do this test to see 100% what it is. So those are the current. There's tin and nickel. There are other opportunities, and we are now doing another phase. So we've done about 1/3 of the country. We still need to do the other 2/3, and there are also quite exciting opportunities, we believe, especially in the south, where opportunities have presented themselves before. And because it's fresh, and right now it is a definitely new area which we'd love to also engage and to see where one can not only mine, but we would really like to see beneficiation somehow taking place also on our continent and in our country, obviously. The other space, the Agriculture, Agri-Processing Minister did touch on it quite well. Where we believe an opportunity lies with yourselves is to really identify land close to the airport. Our airport itself has still got a lot of open land around it, so it means there's prime airport industrial zone space available to do whatever agro-processing one needs. Brand new airport, so one obviously just to put a cargo flight, even if it's a cargo flight every day out of the country, coming into your country to be able to deliver. We have our sugar industry, for instance, which is very close to the airport. Is the most cost-effective sugar production area on the continent, on the African continent. So which means that if you look at cost of water, cost of power, the amount of sun, it's very high production areas. And we really believe ideal for vegetable production, whatever production of whatever food one needs to grow. Obviously that's ideal with those climate conditions. One can grow there. Eswatini has got a very variant climate. So we've got the high veld, middle veld, low veld. Pineapples in the middle veld. In the high veld, a lot of cash crops go in the high veld. Low veld's ideal for certain things. So we can grow a very broad variety of different products. And I believe with the stability that we have, as well as political stability, I think if one looks at the continent, because there's a lot of poverty in the continent, politics gets abused too. Whereas Eswatini, with His Majesty as the head of state, there's a political stability which I really believe really assists with long-term investments that one can consider in Eswatini.
It's still version to develop, for sure. We are interesting. All this project can be handled by us easily, without any problem. With our experience, with our cooperation, and with our coordination, with your support as well. We are ready to make some cooperation together, especially in mining, which is coal, very important for us. Over 15 million tons per year we are handling, trading under MIGA holding to the Turkish market. I explained. We are also buying from your side. One of our main loading port is Maputo. I don't know, maybe we are loading from Eswatini or nearest country, Mozambique or the South African Republic. Also, we are loading from Durban as well. Per year, our capacity of coal from South Africa, approximately 6 or 7 million tons. Yes. The whole country, only Turkey, is buying more than 100 million tons because of energy centrals, because of the steel factories and cement factories, huge industry. So, and also we are pleasure to tell you that we like to work with iron ore sector, iron ore mining, which is really interesting. Again, I want to explain. We are working with Brazil, plus Mauritania, with Mittal. We are working with Mittal as well, and our import quantity is around 12 million tons only to Turkey, and we are mixing and to make rich. How can I say? Increase the steel volume. So quite good business, especially the iron ore and steel, it's a coal business. Regarding the construction, it's very easy for us. That is our big experience since maybe 100 years, maybe more, maybe more. About the railway, and also warehouse and logistic zone establishing is also very easy for us to establish and then build up. These are not really big issues that we are ready to bring investors, bring the construction companies or the professional. We have one system that we are working on it. We are having a project from the government, signing contract, we finance it, and we manage it 30 years, 40 years, and redelivering to the government to finance all the, yes, exactly. So these are our professional subject that we can do with you, or we can develop with you. Your country is good for us to invest and do the business and cooperate many projects, as I know, especially energy is also, especially the turbine, wind turbine that we, as I see that as per my calculation, 300 megawatt you need. It's not more than 200 wind turbine, that's all, like it's not costing that much that you say. Anyway, so, so it is a quick calculation, sorry about it. I just want to be honest to you. So, but it's good project that you are working on it. So we are in, I think. Yeah, we are in, if you also accept. Thank you very much for
Chairperson of IMA Gate and all members, on behalf of Ngoskat and all of us from the Kingdom of Eswatini, we are so happy to have this opportunity to be able to exchange this information. We are happy to create this new partnership, and I'm glad that you've given yourself time to listen to our story about the investment opportunities in Eswatini. We try to at least cover some of the issues. We did not cover all of them, but just to give you an understanding as to what exactly we intend to do in terms of developing the country going forward. Of course, we are looking forward that we cannot do it alone. It's always very important to partner, and that's why we are here in the UAE to partner with the government, with the private sector, so that together we can move forward and create a better infrastructure, a better structure for the Kingdom of Eswatini. Our aim is to make Eswatini to be one of the first world countries. Currently, we are still recognized as the middle income country. We want to pass that stage and reach the standard where we could be regarded as, the first world status quo. Obviously, we realize that in order to achieve this, you have to go to others who have already been there. The UAE, if one looked at it with the development that you have already achieved, we can say that there's a lot of experience that we can obviously share together, because in most cases they say you do not have to invent a new wheel when there's already one that one can look at and make use of that one. So we are here in the UAE to make that partnership. I'm happy and I've listened to you, and we are happy that you all also understand that we can partner together, and together we can make a lot of progress. And the fact that a memorandum of understanding is to be signed to open the way, to pave the way for all of us to start working more and more seriously. I'm happy to hear that the MOU, we will support and give all the necessary support that it may deserve. And of course, whenever, we will go beyond the memorandum of understanding. If anything is not there, we are ready to facilitate because we are flexible. We have a number of things which we've presented. We talked about industries in manufacturing, in tourism, in mining, in other sectors too, agro industries, small, medium enterprises, and so on. We also, of course, as you've seen, our people are highly educated. We continue to expand education because, life is changing all the time. With the new technology, you need to have people who can manage and be in charge of new technologies that is coming in. In our region, we have an organization called SADC, which has about 16 member states. The organization has mandated that the Kingdom of Eswatini should build a university of innovation. Now, all member states are looking forward that the Kingdom should build that university for all member states. Obviously, when you look at here, you can see that the technology is very advanced. Because, we need people who are very advanced, who are smart thinking, looking forward to make much big progress in any country. With good education, there's a lot. Even if sometimes you do not have a lot of resources, but with good education, the country has a better chance of becoming a much, much better world to be. So that's why we also want to focus on education, on health sector, having the people that are well taken good care of. Even now, with the COVID, we were so pleased to see the progress. We didn't lose a lot of people because of all the things we have to put in place, all the measures. We only lost about just over 1,000 people in total during the pandemic, which of course was a good thing for the Kingdom, a big achievement indeed. But we believe the room for making ourselves even better is still there. So we are hopeful that after this discussion, we will see you all in the Kingdom. Already the chairperson, before we come here, we arrange that which is the timing for the company, for EMI Gate, to come to Eswatini to see with your own eyes. Because hearing is one thing, but seeing with your own eyes is different. So that's what we want to see you in Eswatini. Come to Eswatini, see the reality, what we are talking about, and see how together we can move forward. So we're thankful, and thanks for the attention to all of you. Thank you. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Thank you.
Inebongo silenhleke sanivele netivele futhi natibonela wona umshado losata uvele uqale emkhathisini kwenkampani ye-EMI Gate kanye nayo lo live leSwatini lapho khona le nkampani itawusita live ukuthi lithuthukise tinhlangothi letikhona even leSwatini kude ukuthi ke kutawuthuthuka umnotho welive nalo live lithuthuke lingeme indawonye. Nibonile ke yona inkampani ithulela yona imbobo emhlaba ukuthi ngitiphi tinhlangothi lapho khona itawusita khona noma itawusekela khona kanjalo ke nelive leSwatini likhonile ukuthi lithulele yona inkampani tinhlangothi letibheke ukuthi tithuthukiswe tiyembili kanti ke Nenebongo silenhle asethemba ukuthi nikuthokozela kuhlasana nathi sisanilethela wona umsebenzi khona lapha eAbu Dhabi kanti ke sitawuqhubeka sinilethele wona umsebenzi wesiloyinko semswati wesithathu sisekhona lapha kule live lisale kahle.
Wena ngishoba lenkuzi kangwani ingani limnyama lesabeka wena Mswati lo ingoni emngonga kangani ingane lo wavusa kwetfuka bamagagula kadhokolwa ku labathe bahlala buhlala uhlalo kwaye kwetfuka bakagamane bakamnisi nangunamanjolo umangelo no phakathi layelala langakhawula itati ngizamqolo noma ushumali naye labatalo yathi liyawufuna kwangitshela ukuthi kuba emalangeni jubala kusathalekisa ingilande esikolweni unelefa wena Mswati wase uba indlaluselwa wase uyayibamba impeniseli ngisho la kwasana ngayo mkhwase gijima ubele yabhodla ngeshaka kwetilwandle kwatamatama livela Mswati timbi bataphuma kusakala lathi ngwetacela emuzini lapha emdzimba tati bona ingonyama ehlane ehlula umbutho wena ngemkhombo welanga kangwani ingani ilanga lapha mayetsheni lapha kangosikati tingabi sathe khane safeni tagijima tawutekela bonini emakhaya inani banele baphuma balihlolwa ngetikhalate emaguma makho setive ngonyana lemunya lapho setibuya imbunga umvemvakisi waselusaseni awuhlali phaswe sabathi intuli sithole emhlophe ngeuhlula emanga emadvodza mwawela usundu ngekushe kwekuphephuka ematala wena ke msawa hilika hilulela ekhane safeni wena ke Mswati ngekubusa ubuyelele wena wabhusa lisemkhoneni lisetandleni kuthuma kwakho Mswati kunyakade sewumhlaba ongane ingani kwathi kwabhoda esibahlande kulakamlumbi ingani kwathi mashala kansa phuma moyitela nomashikizela kangwani inganashiye umbutho ukuhlakula inani lengwena lapha esitheni kulanqabane wayesofana emhlambi emagwalagwala wena Mswati ingani usulwa lendvodza esihlahleni kufa kondvodza kumtamo wona lo fluzu uthi kangwane emhlabeni nangengqingo njengenkomo isawusengwa wona sibaba sakuyasa kangwane ingani umdumo unjengezulu emambala Mswati yababa mhlohlo babela izingomo sakho kwakho ngoba uyasibona nangemkhondo kangwane ingani ziyandinda ngisho kuloluphondo lwengongoni kangwane esiqopholoti wona Mswati lo gabe abantu kangwane ingani bonjengamathanga wakhakaza ke Mswati omnyama kulabaluthuli waba njengekuvuma kwenqwala uyimbubu ingonyama udle ematholo ezinyathi ayethe wona phakathi khula mlisa khula nzanzane elive bakwesabe betipe